Shamangelic Healing podcast is designed as a platform to share authentic conversations about real life issues, providing you with valuable resources and tools to support you in shining your most authentic self, creating a thriving life that you absolutely love, and to support you in manifesting your soul's mission. Welcome to this episode of the Shamangelic Healing podcast. I'm your hostess, Anahata Ananda, and today we're exploring winning strategies for the amazing race of life with none other than Colin and Christie, the stars of the actual reality show, The Amazing Race. And they were on the race 15 years ago, and what they're going to share with us today is what they learned about what didn't work and how they sabotage things, and what they're going to be experiencing and trying out with 15 years of learning different strategies to work together, to collaborate, and to be a better team. And we get to see how that's playing out in this year's The Amazing Race, because they're on it again. And I can't wait to dive in and learn from them what they've learned and share it with you. So I know you're going to love this episode. It's hilarious. There's lots of wonderful tools. Please like it, please share it, and definitely give us your feedback and some great reviews, because we just had a blast and we know there's a lot of content you're absolutely going to love and be able to apply to your amazing race in life. Welcome to the Shamangelic Healing podcast. I am so excited today to be in the living room of Colin and Christie, dear friends of mine, and so grateful to bring their magic, their wisdom, their experience, and their transformation to you listening and watching. And so thank you guys so much for having me here.
Well, thank you for being here. We're super excited.
Yeah, it's a blast. I've had the pleasure of knowing you guys for many years, and to watch your transformation has just been so stunning, and to be a part of it, and to see what you're doing with that transformation and how it's rippling out to your kids, to the businesses, and to the people that you're inspiring and helping is just so beautiful to watch. And I'm so grateful that you guys are doing that.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yeah. And we just say exactly the same. It's been so amazing having you part of our life and part of my sister's life, and just in the family and tribe. And you know, Christy and I went out to Sedona for the weekend retreat. Was just amazing. So we completely mirror that right back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
I remember years ago doing my first breathwork ceremony with you, and life-changing, to say the least.
Right.
And fell in love with you, and you were just this angel that I knew I needed to know better, and I wanted to get more. And the opportunity to go to the Goddess Retreat in Sedona was just a beautiful opportunity, and was able to do that right before going on the race, which we'll talk about. And then, of course, getting to bring Colin out for the empowerment and awakening was just, thank you for doing the work.
It's just a blast when you get to grow together, and that I've had the opportunity to spend so much time with you guys and share and collaborate. It's just soul family, just accelerating. So thank you. So let's talk about The Amazing Race. Because, if you don't yet know, Colin and Christie were on The Amazing Race 15 years ago, and are now on this next season, right? Which is season what, 5th?
Season 31.
Oh my God, 31 seasons. And so we really thought it would be fun to share with the audience who are watching and listening today about The Amazing Race, even if you haven't watched the show, what a powerful platform it is that mirrors life, and how to see how you're working with everyday life choices in the Amazing Race, and how that can affect whether you win, whether you lose, whether you get ahead, and what you manifest when you're in, whether you're in fear, whether you're in cooperation, whether you guys are getting along, whether you're in reactive mode, and how that affects your impact, and whether things go your way or not, and not just in the race, but in life. is I've had the opportunity to see your first episode, your first season way back 15 years ago, and how far you've come and the choices and how you handled that versus we'll see what happens in this season. I can't wait to see it. You guys got to check it out. But tell me, just give us an overview about what is The Amazing Race and how it is a real platform for everyday life experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting, The Amazing Race it's such a microcosm of life. You kind of get thrown into this game, this game that you all sign up for, but you're racing around the world. You're kind of going, one challenge to another, and they're dangling this big $1 million prize. Like if you win, you win $1 million. So it's almost kind of like all's fair in competition when you're competing for this prize. And it was interesting. Just it was such an amazing experience doing it, but it was such a unexpected and interesting experience watching it later, because it was the ultimate mirror. Because you're 6 months later, you're watching from a different place how you reacted in different situations, and that was eye-opening. It's
a big pressure. I mean, there's a lot of pressure. It's always rushing. You've got jet lag between this location and that location, and
you're lacking sleep. You're lacking food. You're in the pressure cooker.
Right, and it's also reality TV, and so they're making it hard and challenging and unexpected. And so tell me about how that was for you, Christie.
Well, exactly. It's this microcosm of the macrocosm. So everything that can happen in life, all the ups and downs and the challenges, it's just condensed into this ball that you can most liken to a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember beginning to watch season 5, and we had done separate interviews, and watching Colin say, "I'm the most intense person to have ever ran The Amazing Race." And I remember thinking, oh no.
Right, because I saw this episode, and if you haven't seen it, you got to go back, just because it's so entertaining, just to see 15 years ago where you were then, and to see you now. Because I went back and looked at the episodes, and there one in particular, Colin, I was just cracking up, because I see you now, and what an amazing father and manifester, and both of you, how you work together so well now, and how you messed it up. I was so throttled by what a jerk you were. To be totally true, because I love you and I know you, and I love you. To be like, wow, to other people to Christie, and to taxi drivers, to other team members, and how competition can bring out the worst in us. Mm-hmm. And I don't just mean you. I applaud you 100% for being both of you, for being that vulnerable, to have your least conscious, your most reactive, your most unconscious behavior up on the big screen for millions of people to see. And then for you to see 6 months later, and now for your kids to see 15 years later. And I don't think I've ever seen such a jerk. And in the most loving way, and how that affected your race. Mm-hmm. So and I've also seen what has transpired since then. So when, talk to us about what that was feeling like when you're all jazzed up and there's so much adrenaline that you're just reactive and you're just mean,
I think, for me, obviously, I have thought about it quite a bit, in watching it, and just wondering, and even just in the work that we've done since,
amazing.
What is that? And I think, they do a really beautiful job setting up an environment that tends to really reduce your resiliency.
Right.
And if you're not doing the practices, if you're not staying super deliberate, you're right. You're going days at a time without eating, or it's very fluctuating. Sleep. You're jet lagged, you're not sleeping, and you're competing for $1 million. And so everything is just so important, and so it's I think a good metaphor is think about the last time a family was rushing to make a flight on time, or rushing to make a connection, and you're traveling and you're tired. You woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you're like, get over over here, just grab your bag. You know, and like that's
pushy.
You know, just go walk through an airport anytime, and a lot of times you'll see the worst come out in people, or you're in a job and you're training people and they're not doing the thing exactly how you told them to do it. You do it that way, you know, because it's like something you're attached to.
Yeah.
And so they do a really good job of creating this, you know, situation that can very easily bring out the worst in you. And then they just film the whole thing.
Well, and also let's add to that, not only one flight after another, but let's add to that dangling the big money.
That's right. Which makes it so important, which makes everything so attached.
Everybody wants that prize. And so not only is there the time pressure, but I think one of the other things that brings the, you know, our least conscious, the part of us forward is, I want to win at all costs. I don't care if I hurt you. I don't care if I insult you. I don't care if I take your money to do so. I don't care if I have to step all over you, which is really kind of the corporate America vibe. And the drive for materialism, getting more and winning. Because our sports programming kind of teaches us win, and who cares about the other team? And so let's add to that. What did it feel like, the competition and dangling the money, and how that affected it?
I think for Colin and I, we have always both been just super competitive people. I don't even know that the $1 million really meant all that much. We just wanted to win, you know. When I think about my experience of Colin at that time, you know, he, as we know him to be, a very loving individual. I knew him to be that way even then. Yeah. The thing is that when you don't do the work, when you haven't practiced that mindfulness and getting intentional about being in your alignment, right? When you're in that pressure cooker and this, it's been created that you're gonna, the resiliency is low. That's when the shadow gets really shown. It amplifies, exactly. The shadow gets amplified. And so in that particular situation, that's really what was happening. When I watch season 5, I see an individual where competition and lack of resiliency and not really knowing how to handle and navigate all of that really amplified the shadow aspects that are living inside of all of us, right?
And still are living in me now.
Oh, for sure.
No different.
It's a journey, for sure.
It's just a little bit more awareness and a little bit more, you know, visibility into it.
Exactly, and that's really one of the biggest motivating factors, inspirations for us wanting to go back on the race.
I can't believe you guys said yes to going back, and so I want to applaud that, because you know, for anyone to be seen at that level, authentically, to be putting yourself out there, that's incredibly courageous. And to go back 15 years later is just, I'm so excited to watch this year, because knowing where you are and the tools that you have to see how that will play differently in 15 years later, how you are more intentional and how you are being more cooperative, being more aware, and when you do get triggered, because we all do, how to bring yourself back to center again and again, and stay cool and stay calm and be less reactive. So what were some of the things that you learned that first time around? Because this is not about the race, this is about life. This is about everybody watching and listening, about how you can sabotage you know, because there's things you can't control. There's things that you can't control. A flight is late. There's money pressure. You know, there's things that happen in life where you do have the opportunity to react to things that suck, that you are, you know, that surprise you, that are competitive, and money issues, relationship challenges. And so, what did you learn that didn't work? Where did you sabotage? Because you didn't win. You definitely didn't win, and it's not like you guys weren't capable, because you really were. But what sabotaged it for you? And I want to hear from each of you, because you each experienced the race differently.
Yeah, I think so many things we learned, but one that really pops out is just perspective. You know, and realizing that you're seeing the world through your perspective, and if you don't really try and see a broader perspective, and you just let yourself only experience things through your perspective, then you can feel really justified in your behavior. Like me not wanting to pay that cab driver the full fare because we had this deal and he was going to get us there in second place. And I'm only seeing the world through my perspective. And that can lead to really unconscious behavior. you know, not inclusive to the whole situation.
Right.
So that was a big, you know, thing for me. You know, there's more I could talk about, but you know.
But you know, with that, like, we can't control that you get a flat tire.
That's right.
And so then it's like, okay, how do we work together to fix it instead of move into the lower reactive place of blame, contraction, aggravation? Because that's where I saw you move into, is blame and aggravation, where it says, okay, this happened. How do we fix it? How do we work together to, you know, to move forward?
Exactly, and that's really what I think I learned the most. What we really learned the most too is, you know, things are going to happen. And
Things are totally going to happen.
You can choose to respond and react. That's actually a choice that you have. Right. And you don't have to just immediately move into that frustrated, anger, low vibrational space. In fact, you can say, okay, challenge, let's work together. How can we
overcome this?
Overcome this. What do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table so that we can actually use this, maybe even for our advantage? You never know, because really over the last 15 years, what we've learned after watching the race and realizing, oh, wow, okay, not a whole lot of resilience and really easily going down into that anger and blame and shame and guilt space. How can we maintain this more loving approach, right? This more collaborative approach, and work as a team to navigate the waters of our life, you know, the challenges that come. And so we've started multiple businesses. We now have 2 children, an 11 and a 7-year-old. So navigating those waters together, we've learned that really it doesn't serve. And you are human. Things happen. You get triggered. And one of the things we've promised for each other, and even going into this particular season of the race coming up, is that when you get triggered, I'm doing my best to hold space. When I get triggered, he's doing his best to hold space. That's a big part of the teamwork, because realizing, having compassion for the human experience, like things are going to happen and I am going to get angry. But when I can see that someone else is able to hold that space, then I might be able to navigate myself back into alignment more easily.
Yes, yes, because otherwise what happens, thank you for that, because it's so vital, because otherwise what happens is, okay, I get triggered, fine. But when my partner also gets triggered, now I'm into blame, now I'm getting reactive, now I'm shutting down, and my ability to be creative and compassionate is out the window. Like, I cannot hold space for you because I'm busy reacting to the thing you said to me, or the choice you made that I'm really pissed off about because you sabotaged us, and then blame turns into blame, and we're in this downward spiral. Right. And in the downward spiral, which I saw you guys in that episode, I was like, wow, there's no way that's a winning. You don't attract great things. It's not productive. And you push everybody else away. You push the opportunities away that are trying to help you. You go right by them and you don't see them because you're not in that space to be open to that.
You forget the bigger picture.
For sure.
So it's like we get a flat tire and suddenly forget that now this is a leg that we could get eliminated on. We're still in this race for this $1 million. And in that moment, neither one of us care. He's so angry at the cab driver. I'm so angry at him for being angry at the cab driver. That it's
a shitstorm.
The bigger picture, which again, in our everyday life, right? When you're a parent, when you're running businesses, things happen and you cannot forget the bigger picture. What are we going for? What's the bigger intention
What's
here?
the point of all this?
Exactly.
Right.
And that's a big growing learning lesson for us.
Absolutely. I think you can take that to, you know, any altitude or any level of perspective, right? What is the point of all this?
What is the point of all this? Because getting angry at my son right now for getting his glove, you know, at the baseball game, like, what's the point?
The point is we're here to have fun playing baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And here to have fun, and that's the difference. And the other thing is not only the competition, you know, being able to work better as a team, whether this is a marriage, whether this is in business, a collaboration. Am I doing the same thing with my team members in business? Am I doing the same thing with my family members? Am I doing the same thing with my loved ones? And you guys hit upon some real valuable insights of what to do and what not to do. Yep. So if you were to boil it down, like what would be two things that you, like two things each of like, this made the difference between going into a downward spiral of contraction and then sowing a lot of karma that is going to come back to haunt you? Because when you push teams away and you don't help people from a competition, that comes back to burn you later. And I'm sure that happened in the race. You know, what was it, a U-turn? You're like, uh-oh. Because when I'm a jerk to somebody else, guess what? It's coming back to me times 10. So what are two like things that you learned about how to work better or what not to do? I'd love for each of you to share.
Well, one of the things I think the biggest thing for me is to breathe. Breathe.
Right.
Don't try to figure it out in the cortex. It's like let's get beyond that thinking mind and let's go into the body, into that primal brain. And the fastest way to do that is breath. Right.
Okay, good.
So that's me getting back into my own alignment and just taking inventory of what's going on, right?
Okay,
and looking at all the pieces. And it helps bring me perspective. It actually helps me get broader perspective, because if you think of it kind of at a mountaintop, it's at the bottom of the mountain. All I can see is what's in front of my face. That's all I can see, and I can only see through my perspective. But as I start to rise, I can look down and I can start to see all the moving parts. So it broadens my perspective, and suddenly I'm able to start understanding and having a little bit more compassion for my teammate. I'm starting to have a little bit more compassion for the other teammates, why they might want to U-turn. We are a competitive team. They don't want us to win. This might be, from their perspective, the only way to ensure that, hey, maybe Colin and Christie get out. And you can have compassion for that, because this is just humans being human, right?
Good.
So I would say breathe is number one. And number two is, if you are working in a team or on a business,
which we all are.
Yeah,
we're not in this life in a cave, so we're all in collaboration in some way.
Right. It's holding space for the other when they are having their own human experience.
So when you say holding space, I'm not sure everybody understands what that means of holding space. So just give us a little piece about what does that look like when your partner or someone you're in relationship with, whether it's one of your kids, whether it's your sister, whether that is your spouse, whether that is somebody you're in collaboration with business, what does holding space look like in real time? What does that look like?
For me, it is literally what I define unconditional love.
So hard.
Yes, we use the word love. It gets thrown out a lot, right? But love is really and truly unconditional, which means I accept you as you are.
Throwing a tantrum, being this way, having a meltdown, being in fear, whatever it is.
Because in this moment, I could judge you for that. And then I forget all the times that I've also done the same thing, right? Good. And so in this space, if I'm able to stay rooted and grounded, which again, going back to the breath allows me to do that, then I can, as your teammate, as the other one is going through that, looking at them with love. They can feel it. You can feel when someone's looking at you with compassion or when they're looking at you with judgment. And when I can feel that I'm going into that downward spiral and I've got this person over here that embodies, beautiful unconditional love, showing compassion toward me, it starts to dissipate. It starts to, okay, all right. And I can kind of come back to my center.
And that stops the downward spiral from happening.
Yes.
Because that tends to be where we hurt each other the most, is when both of us are in unconsciousness.
Not from the original thing that started the whole.
Right.
Which could have happened because I just didn't sleep last night. Or I'm way putting too much emphasis on something that doesn't really matter, and I'm in that unconscious place, and I'm in an old pattern, a habit around lack or fear or competition, or what's mine, and I love that you said that, because just holding space stops a downward spiral and also allows somebody to be in fear or anger or in worry and just allowing that. Because
a big part of that is, a lot of times we're so shameful of that competition, of that anger. So we're trying to shove it off to the side. And if we've got a partner who's just kind of judging it, not giving space, right? Then it really actually amplifies that in the body. So if I say, permission to feel that anger. Guess what? It only takes an emotion about 90 seconds to kind of work its way through the body. The rest of it's just story and narrative. So if I'm judging you and I'm adding to it, I've just fueled the fire.
Right. And in that holding space means I'm letting you say whatever you need to say, and also I'm not taking it personally.
Exactly.
I'm letting you vent, I'm letting you blame, and I'm holding space is also meaning this is about you, it's not about me.
Exactly.
And I'm not taking it personally that you're in that kind of unconscious place of blaming me for something of a choice that you made right now. And when you're in that calm, clear space and you're up on the mountain seeing it, you're like, oh, this person is just projecting. They're not taking accountability. They're not able to in their emotional
We're just having human experiences.
We're totally having a human experience. It's just so valuable and so delicious. This isn't about the Amazing Race, the show. This is about the amazing race of your life. Because everybody is in an amazing race where there's competition, where there's triggers we can't control. Everybody is in that place where there's big stakes, whether there's a big prize, whether that's success, whether that's love, whether that's money. You know, at the end game, we're all kind of wanting that, which might guide us into an unconscious way of being sometimes. Fantastic. Thank you. I love it. Colin, what are some of those things that, you know, 2 things that you really took away that would help people run their race a little better? And less reactive and sabotaging?
So, yeah, I would say the 2 things for me, you know, kind of first and foremost, realizing over the last 15 years since that is, you know, when I'm feeling really good.
Yeah.
And when I'm feeling good, when I'm high vibing, when I'm happy, it becomes much more likely that how I want something to turn out or something that I want to happen or come to fruition in my life just is much more likely to happen. And so I've learned if I can be feeling really good, it's much more likely that I get what I want or that I get what I desire. It's just,
so what contributes to that? Because, okay, how do I wake up and feel good? Like, what are the practices?
That's my number 2.
Okay, good. Because it's like, hey, you know, people watching, listening, feel good and you'll get what you want. It's
that's my number 2.
How do I do that?
Exactly.
Okay, good.
So
Thank you, because we're about, like, how do you actually do this in everyday, practical life? Because we know, well, we'll get into what doesn't feel good, because then we can look at when you melt down, how did I get here? When I was a jerk, when I was reactive, when we're in this downward spiral, we can pause and be like, what are the 10 choices that I made that got me into this sucky place where I don't feel good? I don't feel good about my behavior. I don't feel good about the way I just treated something, and I've just made a huge mess that now I have to go back and clean up. So what are those practices compared to what you were doing 15 years ago that have upped your game and helped you be able to wake happy and stay happy or get back to happy when you get triggered?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. This is the real juice, people.
Yes. So,
put this part on replay because you're going to want to hear this over and over again. This is real good stuff.
It's true because, you know, and I was going to say that the second thing is the realization that I can't just decide that I want to feel good and say, cool, it feels great to feel good and I get what I want when I feel good, so therefore I'm just going to feel good forever. You're like the realization that that's just not how it works.
Right.
And I think me, for myself, and probably us humans, give ourselves a lot of credit, you know, and a lot of it is just we're these biological systems, we're these neurological systems, you know, we're having this human experience, right? And so I realized that there's a suite or a kind of an infinite plethora of different things you can do to be deliberate, the work that you can do, and different, you know, concepts that you can have as kind of these cornerstones in your mind that you can always trust to be the case, right? And this is at least the way it works for me. And so on the first part of that, which is like do the things that give me the most chance of, you know, keeping my resiliency, that's like have a little time to yourself each day. You know, if you're not meditating 10 minutes a day, you're missing out on some really low-hanging fruit.
Well, then what does meditation do for you? When you don't, you know, because all of us, everybody hears, oh, meditate. And I teach that, you teach that, you do that, I do that. But what are the benefits? Like what happens in that space for you that is a game changer?
Yeah. And so, you know, for me growing up completely, you know, prescribed ADHD by multiple psychiatrists and, you know, psychotherapists and doctor as a dad and, taking all the medications and just bouncing off the walls hyper.
Right.
I hear people say, oh man, there's no way I can meditate. I'm like, yeah, bro. If I can meditate 10 minutes a day,
if
ADD
kid,
That's right.
if you can do
like,
that.
there's no one that bounces off the walls like I do, right? And what
True,
meditation does,
yeah.
what meditation does for me is just like brings it down to stillness for a few minutes to like give me a little perspective and to just, I think what it probably does is just allows me to have a little practice in calming my overall system.
For sure.
And so if I can, what I noticed with meditation is what I've gotten, better at through the years is that I can get to a deeper state faster because I've practiced. And when they say meditation is a practice, you really do get better at it. You really do get to where, now I can go to try out these little headband things and go to these shows where they have, ECG, and I can put any of them on. They're like, oh, wow, you must meditate.
You dropped in quick.
I can drop my brain to a lower brain state much faster. And I think when the onslaught of things that you can't control, like a delayed flight,
right.
lack of sleep, I'm hungry,
right.
I have all those things going on. And then I have a partner that maybe goes unconscious because she's also got the same things going on. And she really needs me to hold space for her right now. Or I need her to hold space for me right now. But we are also already have a lowered resilience. It's like that meditation practice allows me to go, okay, I know I'm feeling all these things right now and I feel totally justified and right in this, but like I can do that same thing I do in my first, 2 minutes of meditation at that moment and really calm my nervous system down, which makes me a lot less, susceptible to reaction.
Good.
Oh
my gosh, so powerful.
Yeah.
Because that's just a 10-minute practice.
That's it.
And
all
you
you're
don't
doing is
have to
practicing
see,
coming
you don't
down.
have to see angels, you
No.
don't have to see colors. People are like, well, I don't like, it's just shushing.
Yeah. That's it.
And which allows, and the practice that meditation allows you to just recenter, because in that 10 minutes, it's likely your mind is going to wander off, and the ability to practice coming back to stillness, coming back to calmness, because that same thing is going to happen when you're triggered. Come back to stillness, come back to calmness when you're not in meditation.
Right. And
Number one.
You hear the power of now, right?
Right.
A lot of people, they don't understand what does it mean to be in the now. So much of that breath and that meditation practice allows you to be present in your everyday moment. So not just when the chaos is happening, but when you're in a business deal, when you are working with your team to collaborate and come up with the next creative, innovative product, right? The more I'm able to center into this now moment, that's where all my creative juices come from. That's the aliveness, right? So it's not just the survival aspect that meditation brings, but it's the thriving aspect.
Right, and that's where the inspiration comes in. And the flip side of that is when there's an unexpected delay and, the manufacturers, and it's not just $1 million price tag, but maybe bigger than that. Maybe someone's health is involved, maybe it's life-threatening, or maybe there's a bigger price tag and it's like, wow, a lot's at stake here. And we can go into that competitive freak-out mode. And so not just does meditation help with inspiration and creativity, but it also helps us say, okay, this challenge is happening. We just found out the manufacturing is going to take 6 months longer, or this deal fell through. It's also how we stay calm and saying this is happening for us and staying in the moment in that and say, okay, well, this is buying us some time, or this door is closing so that we can find a better way to do it. So it also allows us to flow with those challenges that might be big price tags, or like a challenging course redirect that we weren't expecting, like a U-turn in the race. That's where you're like, whoa, that's going to put us behind with our deliverable or with our money, or it's going to cost us more, it's going to do. And so I think that meditation also, to what you're saying, will help in being more responsive and creative and going with the flow and not freaking out when there's bigger things at stake, when it doesn't go your way. Okay, so thank you. One of those things that you said was meditation as far as keeping you in that groove. What's another one? Because what we're talking about is daily practices that kind of prepare your emergency roadside kit. You don't plan to have a flat tire, but having a spare doesn't hurt. And so I think one of the things is that meditation is in your roadside emergency kit that you are planning for. Meditation is one of those things to have in your box, so that when you get a flat, which we do in life in lots of different ways, how we have that prepared to be able to help us move through that.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm going to like drop into meditation in that moment.
No.
It's just that daily meditation practice helps me to just calm down a little bit and try and handle the situation in the most productive way possible.
Right.
Right.
Because you know what it doesn't
really
work.
allows me to maintain perspective for longer.
Right.
Yes.
You know?
Okay, so besides meditation, what's one of those others that helps you stay in that place?
I would say besides meditation, you know, a lot of it is about feeling good, right? And I, as somebody that has had like a very long list of injuries in my body from extreme sports and all of those things growing up, you know, I realize that if I'm my back is hurting and it's just a nagging pain, my shoulder's just this nagging pain, you know, if I have a nagging pain in my body, that also reduces my resilience. And so I've gotten really deliberate about wanting to feel good in my body. And I think that's where, you know, there's so much beauty to yoga, right? And flexibility. The more flexible I am, right? And that's kind of a double entendre, right? The more flexible I am, the better I feel, right? And the better I feel in my body. So if I can do my exercise, my core, like my balance and you know, walking on slack lines and, you know, riding mountain bikes and paddle boarding, you know, these physical activities not only are really fun to do in the moment and induce endorphins and things like that, but they also make me feel better in my body on a day-to-day basis. So it's just one less thing that's like a nagging deal, right? So you could say the same thing about sleep, right?
100%. It's
like
a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker. So that's what it starts like. I really prioritize getting good sleep because, again, it's kind of like if you're not meditating 10 minutes a day, it's like, hey, if you're getting 5 hours or you know, 5 hours of sleep at night, you're just starting off with like, you know, a major deficit. You know what I mean? Like you're just like not giving yourself the best chance of success, right? And so like getting good sleep so that, again, my nervous system is just not as fragile. And then also just with the diet, you know, and eating, not just to like be lean and look good in a bathing suit, but to just feel good.
Well, and it gives you the energy and the stamina to be able, and it supports with resilience. So, guys listening or watching, here's a highly competitive dude that is saying, yeah, meditation, yoga, sleep, go to bed early, and eat well. Those are like the four.
And eat well has always been my hardest, and is still my hardest today. I am super addicted to sugar. It's it's like a thing that I observe, and you know, do you just go cold turkey and just never eat sugar again? Which I've seen some people do, and it's amazing. But you know, the diet thing was always interesting for me because I was so highly active that I could pretty much burn
through
however many calories I ate, and so I never really had the like motivation of like, oh, I need to like eat really clean to look good in a bathing suit. It was more,
I need fuel.
Know, I just can eat whatever I want, and this feels good to eat chocolate donuts and a Monster, you know. and what I realized is I never really connected how I was feeling in the moment with what I had eaten previously.
30 minutes before. If I have sugar, like I'm Dragon Lady. 30 minutes.
That's right. And I only have like a 5-minute memory, or really like maybe a 30-second memory when it comes to that food thing, right? So when I decided, hey, it probably isn't serving me to be eating like, you know, Little Debbie's chocolate donuts and Monsters, even though it doesn't seem like it's affecting me, I kind of did this little experiment with myself. And I said, okay, you know, I'm not going to try to stop eating it. I'm just going to do two things. When I go for it, and I go for that Monster and the little chocolate donuts or whatever is kind of my snack, ask myself, was there something that happened just recently that kind of knocked me off kilter a little bit? Did I get into an argument with Christy, or did I have a situation with my son that was a great mirror reflection of all the work that I still have left to do? Or did something stressful happen at work? Did we get news from the manufacturer that it's going to be 3 more months? Just ask myself, did something happen in the last hour that has kind of knocked me off kilter a little bit?
So it's is it, you're checking in to see, is this an emotional trigger that I'm reaching for this thing?
That's right. Yeah, just check in, right? And then go ahead, eat the chocolate donuts and the Monster, and then just make the promise to yourself that 30 to 45 minutes later, you're going to check in and just sit for a second and feel, how do I feel in my body? Right. And so what I would do is I would ask that question, like, oh yeah, I did get an argument with Christy, or oh yeah, we did get this call at work that was stressful from a client or whatever, and go, okay, well, I'm still going to have it. And then I'd be like, oh man, okay, it's good. I'm enjoying this for the 5 minutes or 7 minute snack. You know, this is like giving me my dopamine hit or whatever. And then I would check in with myself afterwards, 30, 45 minutes later. And what I was so surprised by was like, has chocolate donuts and Monster always made me feel this shitty 45 minutes later? And I'm just now noticing this?
Right.
Like, am I really that unaware of what because every time I would do it,
just snarf it.
I would like settle in for a second and be like, yeah, for sure I feel worse than I did before I ate these.
Well, and I think we can do that with anything.
That's it.
Whether that's alcohol,
so that's just
whether that's
awareness.
Whether that's alcohol, whether it's getting stoned, whether that is Netflix, and why am I reaching for ice cream? Is it emotional trigger? Is it habit? And then also, how am I feeling after the fact? That's right. A big one. After binging on Netflix till 3 a.m, do I feel better after? That's right. And so I think this is a great one for everything that we're doing. So these are fantastic. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. So okay.
Yeah, so we have a whole ritual of morning routine that we do every day just to get ourselves started on that high flying disc. Right. So that you can really up your resilience to get through the day. And you might find that, hey, 2 o'clock, something happened, you triggered, you went down, that's okay. Right. Go to sleep, start all over.
You get back faster.
And you do. And what you find is the more consistent you are with doing that, for me, the morning routine is meditation and yoga and a cold shower. And I even have, a morning concoction that I'll, just to re-alkaline the body. And when you are consistent with that, you realize that your resilience will last longer and longer and longer. And next thing you know, you've just completely shifted who you are as a person. And it's only been a couple of months.
Right.
And you're going days on end with
a higher vibe, less reaction.
Getting knocked off.
This is what I really want to acknowledge, because I got to see you guys, with the episode with the Amazing Race and how you guys are now, and it's night and day. So for those people watching or listening that says, "Oh, well, I'm just hardwired to be competitive," or "I'm just impatient,"
Me too.
and I say, look, if you can do it, if you can make that transformation, if you can make that transformation to be more intentional, to shift out of some daily habits that maybe are contributing to a reactive lifestyle that is kind of making more messes in your relationships, in your finances, with the people that you in life, or your career, or your physical body, making messes there, that anybody can make the change. Anybody can make the change. And this has been gradual over the years of saying, okay, we're going to move this thing out, or when we have an argument, we're going to practice taking a time out. And then, this didn't just happen overnight for you guys. No. And I am so excited to see how 15 years of changing out, maybe less conscious foods or habits or communication patterns, and how you've upped your game across all of these areas, where yoga, meditation, green juice, supplements, cold showers, and all of these different practices, and switching out a little sugar for a little bit more greens and a little bit healthier, cleaner food, how that has manifested and change things. And so let's talk a little bit about the race, because this is so exciting, because now you're going back, and God bless you guys for having the courage to go back into this fish tank of, putting all your dirty laundry and your conscious laundry out there for everybody to see, in a pressure cooker, where we get to put to this test all of this karma and consciousness and law of attraction stuff. We get to see it, and meditation and visualizations. We get to see if it actually works, because you're putting it to the test, which I'm just so throttled and impressed by you guys going back into the race and going on it again and seeing if this works. Well, without giving away anything, because we can't, and I want to see how how you are more intentional. And so talk to us about this season and what you are bringing in to this race this time.
Okay, well, yes, one of the biggest inspirations for wanting to go back on the race, other than the fact that it's really fun. I mean, look, regardless of not winning the first time or, you know, all the times that we did get triggered and go unconscious, we had a blast. Would you say probably one of the best times of my life was running the race?
Right.
So that, you know, knowing that also a big part of feeling good and thriving in life is reaching those high vibrational emotional states that are joy, that are
ecstasy.
Ecstasis. Yeah, exactly.
Fun.
So let's go do that, because we get to go travel the world and do all of these challenges, and it's already set up for you. You get to just arrive and do it. I mean, really feeling into the awesomeness of that, which we weren't able to do. We were just not there in that place 15 years ago.
So the intention was more to have fun.
Yes, to be able to have fun, to be able to travel, to be able to spend time. But the bigger intention, the larger intention was, hey, you know, over the last 15 years, we have created quite a bit of abundance. And that abundance has come through what I really call a new energy versus an old energy. So old energy being more competitive, okay? Feeling like I need to take down the other company in order to thrive. We see this in our politics. We see this in so many of these older institutions, right? And it's kind of the way the world has worked in the past. And I have to be that way to play the game so I can survive, so I can win. Well, what we've learned is actually there's a newer energy that's much more collaborative, okay? That is much more, you know what, there's actually win-win. We can be working together and we can create abundance for all of us. And there is a way to do that. So, and in so doing that in our business and with our children and with our tribe, we've created a life that is pretty beautiful and really easy in perspective to live in, so that you know, it's easy to stay resilient, and even when you get triggered, to get back into alignment.
When we're controlling the morning
when we're
routine,
controlling it, exactly. When we're able to do all of our things. So, okay, what's that look like when we take all of these things back into the vortex of the amazing race, back into this pressure cooker, okay? Because for sure, even if we are meditating and we're visualizing, I mean, we are, and we're, you know, that's a big part of what we do in our everyday life, segment intending. We're visualizing, how do I want my day to go? How do I want this next leg of the race to look, right? And when you have two or more, putting that together,
acceleration.
Yes, and it amplifies the ability to really manifest quickly what it is you're wanting to create.
We'll see, right?
Well, we'll see, right? That was really the test: is can we go into this space where it's actually even being encouraged by production to, hey,
it is a reality TV show. Come on, they're gonna, you know, put in there those things that trigger you for sure.
Exactly. So can we withstand it, but also just challenge, like show us where there's more room to grow.
Yeah. Gosh, it takes such...
Show us where there's more room to grow, because what you learn when you get on this path of growth and expansion is nothing feels better than to suddenly get that aha moment and gain awareness about something that you were so locked in story or narrative about, and then all of a sudden you go, I see my part in the play, and I understand, and my awareness has just grown. There is the amount of endorphins and dopamine and all the things that go through the body and the brain when you expand your consciousness, that will have you wanting to grow as often, you know, besides the fact that it makes all of your relationships better with yourself, with your family, with your children, with your loved ones. But it's like, so here's an opportunity for us to see, where do we have more to grow? Yeah. This is going to show us.
This is what's super fun.
We're going to lose consciousness.
For sure.
What's going to pop up?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, this is the difference of when you're asleep versus when you're awake, because now you embrace these situations when you go unconscious as the opportunity to identify where there's still opportunities to grow and learn and to see the reflection, and you move towards that instead of away from it, which is super exciting and ballsy and courageous. But that is the path, is to not go unconscious even when you are looking at your unconsciousness, but actually see with compassion, oh, there's still something here for me to learn. And what is this trying to teach me? And we actually embrace it and move forward with it.
On the other side of that, it feels so good.
It does feel good, because then you can say, wow, I've made progress and I'm making less messes. And one of the things that I want to acknowledge, what you said about the old paradigm or the old way of being competitive and winning, where it's I win, you lose, is that's what's happening to the planet. This is what's happening to humanity. I get my way and I devastate humanity, or I devastate the planet in the process. And that's why we're having such toxicity in our physical bodies and amplifying of disease, and also toxicity on the planet, is that very old paradigm of when I win, somebody else has to lose. And you know what? I don't care. And this new paradigm that you're talking about, which is still really new, and that's what I'm excited to see how it's tested, like in an incubator, in a pressure cooker, to see whether or not that really works, and what you guys learn and continue to learn. Because now the new paradigm is win-win collaboration. I win, you win, collectively we win, humanity wins, the planet wins. And that's where commerce is going, that's where relationship is going, because no other option is sustainable. We're being propelled into it, like it or not. We're being propelled into the old way not working any longer. And what's great is that's accelerating when we come to that place with conflict, with unconsciousness, with competition, with greed, with fear. What comes with that is destruction of some kind. You know, and we pay the price of that destruction. And what's exciting is when we are in this other place of collaboration, which you have seen in business, you've seen with your health, you've seen with manifestation and your law of attraction, to be able to see how quickly you can be in the right state of mind to attract things. You're also seeing it in your relationship, and as you pass that on as parents. I'm so grateful that you guys have made the transformations that you've had, so that as parents, you're passing that on to your boys, the new paradigm and the new way of doing things.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah, because I'm doing the same with my kids. And I was like, oh, wow, so exciting.
I mean, we are living in exciting times, because we really are in this is the time that we really are leaving that old paradigm and introducing this newer paradigm. And we've been doing this for a while.
Right.
In our everyday life, it's working.
It's working.
It's like every relationships are more harmonious. Abundance is flowing in. You feel like you are in a nonstop flow state, you know? So reality television. And in this particular season, it's not just Amazing Race, former Amazing Race teams, but it's also Survivor teams.
Ooh, Survivor. Now they're competitive. Like, this is about Survivor. You know, this is about surviving, which is our lowest frequency possible. It's like, if I don't survive, like, it's either me or you surviving, because that is the whole vibration of Survivor.
Right. And Big Brother, which is actually very similar to that.
Wow.
So
excited.
Can we go into that space knowing that, and not expecting, right? Because that's the thing, is when you are introducing a newer paradigm, you don't have to be playing the game with anyone who's living in that new paradigm, because you can actually influence and raise the vibration of the collective. You start to learn just how powerful you really are,
right,
when you do that. Well, and we'll see what that looks like.
I know, I'm so excited to see how you guys, well, I'm sure there's challenges where you go, you know, unconscious, and then how quickly you come back based on your practices. And you won't have the sleep, and you won't have all your supplements, and you won't have a lot of your practices during the race. And so it'll be interesting to see, and nor does anybody else. And so it'll be interesting to see how you guys do. So anything else about what your intention was about going into this time? You know, for you, I know you share that, Christie, you shared that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it was just kind of the ultimate test. You know, for me, you know, being such a type A competitive person my whole life, I remember even going into doing this work, thinking to myself, well, if I become all conscious and lovey and from the heart, does that mean I just don't win anymore?
Right.
And like, I don't think I want that for myself. Right. I want to keep winning, and I want to keep, you know, being successful, and I don't want to just be a hippie sitting on a mountaintop, you know, shining love on everybody.
It's all good.
Yeah, well, I'm just, you know, that was what was in my mind, you know, and so, you know, obviously there's been this gradual process that we've, really kind of adjusted and transformed who we are as people. And then so has our like external reflection of what's going on inside of us in our life. But it was this sense of like, can we take that into an environment where, if there's any environment where like you would think win at all cost competitive nature is needed, it's in Survivor, or big, Amazing Race, or one of these reality TV shows. And so that was a big part of it for me, was saying, are we going to go and just be like totally cool with whatever and lower my nervous system and get eliminated on the second or third leg because we're just like not that stressed and we're not that attached, it's like, all good. Can you still like go be competitive and do your best, and so
in a cooperative way,
that's right.
Because there's this flip between fear and faith and competition and collaboration, and coming from that place of lack versus abundance. And if you're coming in with abundance, because that it's not a deal breaker whether you get that $1 million or not, because now you've learned how to manifest it outside of the race. So like not having that be like, I have to get this or else I go without.
Broader perspective.
More perspective. So
than we had when we were 23.
If you come with faith, and if you come with collaboration, and you come with an abundance consciousness, how does that change the game? Not just with the show, but with life. And that's where I think it's so exciting, and also the flip of when I go into fear, when I go into competition, and when I go into lack, how that changes my outcomes, or how that changes people listening. And so the invitation to those listening and watching is, where are you in that spectrum of faith versus fear, and collaboration versus competition, and also abundance versus lack? Because if you're in those lower frequencies, you're going to keep attracting that, and how to move over here. And I love what you said about being able to say, how can I still do my best? How can I still do my best and still try hard? I'm not just like, whatever. It's not like I'm not going to run my fastest or do my best just so we all win. But there's like this balance that says, this is still about me being the best version of me and performing at my best, which now has different success factors than it used to.
It just feels better when you win.
It feels
better when you do well in life. If you're just staying
proud.
You're more proud of it. And it's more about like, can I feel good? And it feels good to come from love, and it feels good to like consider others. And so it's just kind of an invitation to like, it's not one or the other. You can really like succeed in life and come from love and like be okay. And so that was such a light bulb moment for me, not too many years ago, realizing that I didn't have to like give up on all like trying to do well and try to give up on like winning in life, just to, come from heart and have a little bit more, perspective, or a little bit more awareness of myself.
Good.
I think a big part of our everyday life too, what's helped me is, we as humans, again, in our narrow perspective, kind of have an idea of what we think would be the best possible thing. So you're going into the Amazing Race and you say, the best possible thing is if we win, and we win the $1 million. But the reality is, the broader perspective is, this is a beautiful opportunity to go travel the world. This is a beautiful opportunity for me to spend time with my loved one, my co-creator. We're co-parenting. This is an opportunity for us to go travel the world, just the two of us, and really get to know each other again in that space, right? To get to go do these fun challenges, to get to go play together. So if I'm looking at it like that, in and of itself is the win. That's the win.
Right. Like there's no way to lose.
I'm not attached to the rest of it. So
and you're going to learn in the process.
Yes, I'm going to learn. I mean, all of these things, I'm going to grow, I'm going to expand, I'm going to have fun along the way. I'm going to be doing it with my best friend and my lover. Like, what could be better than that, right? I don't need to win the $1 million. That's bonus. So it's detaching yourself from thinking that it has to be this way, right? And
it's liberating, isn't it?
It's liberating. That's the freedom that you're looking for. And so in your everyday life, when you're segment intending, you want to maybe collaborate with this business, or you're going into this job interview. The way that I'm segment intending, yes, how do I want to feel when I go into that space? What do I want it to look like? And then I'm always ending it with, for my best and highest good.
Right. And for everyone involved.
And for the best and highest good of all involved. Because when I end it with that, I know that, hey, ultimately this might not work out, even though I think this is the only way, right now, all I can see is this is the only way for me to get to where I want to be. But I know that there's actually millions of ways for me to get to where I want to be. So if I can just feel into this, and what's the vibration, what's the feelings that I want to have, and then I end with best and highest good. What I've learned over the last 15 years is that when it doesn't happen exactly the way I want it,
which is often
happens even better.
If we're unattached. Wonderful. Yes, yes, and that's great for you to hear, everybody.
And I'll just add to that one thing, which is like where I want to be is feeling good.
Yeah.
So often I feel like what I used to do in the past is like, well, if I get this or have that or achieve this, then I'll feel good. And actually, it turns out you can actually do things now that will get you feeling really good. And then all this stuff starts happening in your external reality. But like really, people don't want a nice house just to have a nice house. Like they want to be comfortable,
right?
Or like people just want to feel
Enjoy,
good.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter like if that's living on a beach in a little shack, renting surfboards,
right, whatever.
Like I could totally be happy doing that,
right.
Because really I just want to feel good,
right.
And I want to feel like I have close relationships, and I want to feel like we're creating something in the world together, and that we're playing together. Like that's what feels good.
And proud of the people that we're becoming in the process. Yeah. And otherwise, it's like, okay, I achieved this thing, but it's a hollow victory.
That's right.
If it doesn't really nourish my soul, if I got it at the expense of, I just
of
made
others,
all these enemies, and I don't love that.
You know that if you win at the expense of others, like that's gonna always be there,
right.
and it's just gonna be hollow. It's
right.
not. Yeah.
Well, and also making it all about the destination versus the journey. So if I'm winning at all costs and it's all about this destination, and as soon as I get that destination, I'm going to feel better about myself. Everything's going to come together, right? It does. It becomes hollow because the journey wasn't filled with the feelings and the emotions that you were actually wanting to go for. And it's that what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Most people think that when I get the thing, then I'll feel better. Actually, it's the feeling better that actually brings the thing into
enjoying the journey. This has just been awesome. So many pearls. For those of you listening and watching, you're going to want to share this. You're going to want to put this on repeat because there's been so many great things shared. Please, if there was something really valuable that landed here for you, please give us a great review. We would love to have your comments. We would love to have your feedback of what you thought, and also about not just about the episode, but we want to hear all about your thoughts about the show. But please go on to please give us your feedback, a great review, your comments, and share this because we want other people to know about manifesting and how to move from those places of lack and fear into faith and abundance and collaboration and cooperation. It's where we're moving anyway. And so by sharing it, by liking it, giving us some great reviews, it'll help, get this message out to more. So I am so excited about to watch you guys in this because I know I'm going to be laughing hysterically and be like, oh my God, I did that very. I know that it's just going to be so entertaining to watch you guys go through this process, and also so inspiring. Whatever the outcome is, I know it's for the highest and best good. So tell us about where people can watch The Amazing Race. Episode 30.
Season 31.
Season 30.
It's on CBS Wednesday nights. Premiere May 22nd. And watch us on The Amazing Race, CBS Wednesday nights. And
okay.
Where can we find more about you? I think everyone needs to go to your 3-day retreat. That's what I'm. We're gonna get a lot more out of that than watching us on The Amazing Race.
Well, I am in Sedona at shamangelichealing.com. You can find me there. And you guys came to the 3.5-day, like the Empowerment and Awakening Retreat, which is just a lot of my favorite tools to help people move across this journey from unconsciousness to consciousness and help them with those tools. So
I like to call it being human 101.
Yes.
Because it's so many of what we talk about, these tools, which we kind of have learned along the way, and it has taken about 15 years to learn along the way, is that it packed in this weekend is the opportunity to really learn very quick resources and tools and understanding of why I want to do it and how I can set myself up for success.
Yeah, it was so fun having you guys there, because I know you're so hungry, like, ooh, I like that. I'm going to put that with this thing that I already know, whether you are a beginner, whether you are on the journey. Both of you are totally on the journey, and we're still getting some tools, and people that are brand new can also get that as well. So for those of you listening, I'm going to give you a discount code, $150 off. I'm like, I want you to have what they experience. Yeah. So in the show notes, go to the show notes on shamangelichealing.com for our podcast. And we'll put the link actually to the show or somewhere. We'll put some information about how to get. Website. And also tell us, because your relationship has really just come so far, and had so many challenges along the way. You guys could have split. This has not always been easy. No. And so we were talking the last couple of days about how you could share some of the tools that really helped you as a couple stay together and thrive as parents, as collaborators, as lovers, as friends. And so what do you have for them? What do you have for the listeners? Because if you've waited this long, you're our kind of people. If you've stayed with us this long, you get extra bonus. So what do you right?
Yeah, well, besides watching us on CBS, The Amazing Race, May 22nd is air date every Wednesday. We do have, go visit our website, colinandchristie.com. And we have some tips and tools free for you, a gift as kind of a thankfulness of what we've learned along the way, to just share with you some of the top line things that we do on a daily basis in order to create harmony and to deepen our relationship and to better our teamwork in everyday life. Yep. So we've learned quite a bit, and I think we've pretty much been through everything. So really sharing so that you don't necessarily have to go through all of that, and you can
shortcut.
Yeah, exactly. The shortcut. Exactly. Anything that we can share.
I feel like we didn't take the shortcut.
We didn't
but they can.
But you can.
That's right.
Exactly.
This is super valuable, because and that is not just for couples, because you can use that with anybody that you're in teamwork with. Yes. That's right. Whether that's with a sibling, whether that's with a parent, whether that's with a child, whether that's in business. That is a huge gift. So we'll actually put a link in the show notes for the free gift, so that you guys can get that, and it'll be a download, it'll be a video or whatever, a PDF or whatever it is. That is super, super valuable. So thank you on behalf of the audience for giving. Oh my gosh, that's so huge. I'm excited to get that, because I want to keep learning from you guys, because you're doing it. You're doing it. You're not just talking it. Clearly, if you've been through 2 now reality TV shows, and you're still talking to each other, and look at you, it's clear that you still really deeply love each other. And I've seen you parent your boys, and you're phenomenal parents. And I've had the opportunity to work with you in business, and I'm floored with what you're bringing in, collaborating at high levels of manifesting really phenomenal resources and products to bring consciousness, and the impact that you're doing with technology. And it's just amazing. And I've had the opportunity to work with you, and you've gone to all of my training and courses, and to see you as a high priestess, as a healer, as a coach, and a counselor come forward, bringing your magic and your gifts, is just amazing. And so more coming from you as well, because I just really cherish everything that's happening here.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
yeah,
it's a team win.
We really appreciate it.
Really, you're just this. Shamangelic is exactly right.
That's right.
This shaman angelic presence. I consider you a mentor, and really and truly, just for being in our lives.
Right?
So grateful.
So appreciated.
Yeah, this is it. The collaboration, where as we stand in our own pillars, and then we work in collaboration, we help everybody level up. Yep. That's an example of what we've been talking about. Is just like, oh wow, you got my back, and you know what, I got yours, and then you got my back, and I'm here to help you, and everything raises up so exponential, so much faster when we're in this collaborative.
Listen, guys, if we want to keep up with the robots,
right?
we have to perform at our best.
Exactly.
We cannot be taking each other down.
Exactly. High vibing. So thank you so much. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you,
And
Anahata.
oh,
Anahata.
my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to those watching and listening, because you're the ones that really take this message out. We're just sitting here in your living room chatting like we always do, actually. And just with coordinated outfits and some lighting. Thank you, Adam. But you know, you're the one that really makes the change happen. We're doing our thing, but you're the ones that are watching, that are listening. You're where this thing really catches fire. That's right. Because we know, if you're still listening, that this has landed deeply inside you, that there's something really touching with you. Maybe it's the first time you've heard this, maybe it's the 100th time you've heard this, and we're just here to say that there is medicine here. There's something that's working about this, and join us in that catching fire of the vibration, moving out into consciousness, moving out into the masses, because this is how we do it, one person at a time. So thank you for doing your part, for the things that you're letting go of, and for the things you're leveling up to and saying yes to. And also thank you for sharing it with your loved ones and your friends, so that you're helping them to rise as well. Thank you for being better partners, better parents, better humans. And so thank you so much. Yes, amen. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining the Shamangelic Healing podcast. Looking for your comments and your reviews, and thank you for your support.